I'm April Cheek Messier, president of the National D-Day Memorial, and it is my great privilege to wish a happy Veterans Day to all those who have served our great nation in uniform. Here at our memorial, the nation's monument to D-Day, honoring veterans is our greatest joy and our sacred trust. This past June, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of our opening in 2001. At our dedication, we were honored by the presence of veterans of the Normandy campaign, as well as hundreds of other veterans who served in World War II. Sadly, most of those brave heroes have passed on now. We've said goodbye to too many friends over these 2 decades. Today, on this annual commemoration of Veterans Day, we remember them, but also honor those veterans who are still with us and who can still receive from us a heartfelt thank you. We seldom see members of the World War II generation now, but sometimes they still grace us with their presence. A few weeks ago, we were delighted to welcome Mr. Walter Sarver, an anti-aircraft artilleryman who served in the European theater. Mr. Sarver, aged 103, charmed everyone who met him. He visited with members of his family to see a series of veterans' bricks, which honored him and 2 generations of his family who have served our nation. Bricks which we will dedicate today along with others. On any given day, we may see dozens of veterans representing Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf Wars, Afghanistan, or other conflicts, as well as peacetime service. Many veterans volunteer here at the memorial. It's an honor to speak with them, shake their hands, hear their stories, and express our gratitude. I often say that at the National D-Day Memorial, every day is Veterans Day. But today is a special Veterans Day. It was 100 years ago today that the tomb of the unknown soldier was dedicated in Arlington National Cemetery. Laid to rest that day in honored glory was a soldier of the Great War, whose name will never be known, but whose example will never be forgotten. In subsequent decades, he would be joined by the unknowns from other wars. They remind us of the true cost of military service and the inevitable tragedy of war. When I think of the tomb of the unknown soldier and of the many veterans I have cherished as friends over the years, it reinforces in me the necessity of honoring veterans while they are still with us. It is an obligation that we as Americans have, not just on Veterans Day, but each day of the year. Ironically, a century ago, when the Tomb of the Unknowns was consecrated, the world was just coming out of a devastating global pandemic. A century later, we find that scenario all too familiar. Today, there are veterans who may feel isolated and lonely, even forgotten. Socially distanced from friends and family, they may need the encouragement of a simple thank you, letting them know that someone is thinking of them. If you know a veteran like this, give him or her a call, mail a letter, or if possible, pay a visit. This is their day, and they deserve the recognition. Today, we want to highlight some of our neighbors who also feel compelled to say thank you and have not and will not forget our men and women in uniform. Not far from where I'm standing, a tradition started 20 years ago in the wake of the September 11th attacks. A group of veterans gathered at Monument Terrace in historic downtown Lynchburg, Virginia, to honor those who had served and to encourage those who were only beginning to fight the global war on terror. After that first gathering, this dedicated group came back the following Friday, and for well over 1,000 Fridays after that. They are still there each Friday, remembering with profound gratitude their brothers and sisters in arms. The tradition of the Monument Terrace Troop Rally has become a local institution that gives those in the community the chance to say thank you and provides veterans a chance to reflect on their service. Recently, we sent our cameras there to capture some of the inspiration of what happens at Monument Terrace each week. We hope you will be inspired by their story and our video commemoration today. To all of our veterans, on behalf of the National D-Day Memorial, thank you for your service, and have a blessed Veterans Day.
I've been coming here for about 10 years now, and so it really means a lot to me because I know what it was like to be deployed, and to know that people were back home, standing up for it.
It's just patriots coming out. It's a camaraderie here that it's hard to understand unless you've been there.
We don't want a situation where troops are going overseas and they really feel like they're alone. We want them to know that we're there, when they're sending them off, and we're going to be there when they come back. And in between, we'll be here doing everything we can for them and also for their families that are here.
And that's one of the reasons we come each week, is because we know that they're there. They're having to serve, and they have to go through some of the same things that we've gone through or have been through. And so we want them to realize that they're not alone. We have their backs.
Veterans take care of veterans, and there's this fellowship, there's this bond. We want to take care of each other. We did in combat, we did in training, and we still want to do it and serve our country that way.
So we're here to support the troops that are gone, but we're also here to kind of support each other. And many times there'll be veterans here that need support, need something, and then this is a place where we can network and find and see if we can't help that veteran with whatever their need is.
If there wasn't a monument terrace, there would not be a Lynchburg Area Veterans Council. We've got some needy veterans in the area, and really because of Monument Terrace and 20 years of being here, it kind of brings us all together. It's about having the heart of a servant, and I think it's about character. And I think Veterans Day is a part of that.
What does it mean to you when someone thanks you for your service?
I appreciate it, and I try to be appreciative of them being appreciative, because I hope they do it to someone else too.
For me, it's not a day so I can walk around and people can pat me on the back and say thank you for my service. Because for me, it's a blessing to serve. I took an oath and said I would go, and the call came in and I went. But it's just an opportunity for me to thank other veterans, and especially veterans from like World War II and Korea and Vietnam.
Well, it means a lot, but there's so many that served and gave their lives. What I did was really minimal, and it does mean a lot that somebody remembers, why we're free. We can't forget the sacrifice of our veterans. Just can't. And if we do, we're hurting as a nation.
The roots of Veterans Day go back to the end of the war to end all wars. On November 11th, 1918, at 11 o'clock in the morning, the guns fell silent in World War I, and people across America took the opportunity to reflect on the blessings of peace, to remember those who had served, and to mourn those who would not come home again. The next year, on the first anniversary of what was then called Armistice Day, President Woodrow Wilson called the nation to remembrance of the significance of 11th November. To us in America, he proclaimed, the reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice in the councils of the nations. The day was commemorated with parades along many American main streets and patriotic speeches reminding citizens of the service of those who wore the uniform. In ensuing years, many states began to adopt November 11th as official state holidays. But Armistice Day was not officially acknowledged by the federal government until 1926. That year, a congressional resolution noted that, quote, it is fitting that the recurring anniversary of this date should be commemorated with thanksgiving and prayer and exercises designed to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding, end quote. This was, however, a mere recognition of the significance of November 11th. Not until 1938, as the nation prepared for the 20th anniversary of Armistice Day, did the day become an official national holiday. Soon after that, the American people discovered that the war to end all wars did not, in fact, fulfill that claim. War clouds again engulfed Europe, and by the end of 1941, the United States was again at war. After that global conflict ended, American boys were sent to fight and die in Korea. By 1954, it was obvious that while honoring the veterans of the First World War was a worthwhile and necessary task, a new generation of veterans deserved recognition as well. And so President Eisenhower, a man who knew better than most what service in the military meant, officially changed the name of Armistice Day to Veterans Day, allowing the nation to recognize all veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces, regardless of when, where, or under what circumstances they had served. In the 1970s, no small argument erupted over Veterans Day. The federal government moved the observance of several national holidays, including Veterans Day, to Mondays, regardless of the date. The result was confusion and dissatisfaction. Many states continued to recognize November 11th, regardless of the day of the week on which it fell. Many of the surviving World War I veterans were unhappy that the day had been divorced from the historical significance of the end of the Great War. Accordingly, in 1975, President Ford returned the national observance of Veterans Day to the fixed date of November 11th, where it has remained ever since. Today, the World War I generation has passed into history. The majority of World War II and Korean War veterans have also now departed. But the day remains as an annual reminder of those who had served, of their patriotism and love of country, of their willingness to sacrifice and guard our freedoms. Every November 11th, we have the opportunity and the sacred duty to reflect on these brave men and women, the best of Americans. To veterans everywhere, the National D-Day Memorial is honored to say to each of you, thank you for your service.
Hello, I'm General John Hyten, Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It is my honor to be here with you today as we remember our nation's veterans. Thank you to the National D-Day Memorial Foundation for hosting this event today. Veterans Day, our nation pauses to honor all the men and women who have served our country in uniform, every generation, every service, every walk of life. We honor those who fought for our freedom and through their service and sacrifice guaranteed our liberty and way of life. For over 244 years of independence, these patriots have stood watch over America. From Bunker Hill to Utah Beach, from Midway to Mosul, from Inchon to Quezon, their vigilance and determination to uphold our Constitution and the beliefs on which our nation was forged have made us the beneficiaries of the promise of our founders' blessings. And America has been blessed, yet this blessing, earned as it may be, comes at great price from those who have and continue to serve. Throughout our history, our veterans and their families have made immeasurable sacrifices. The story of Americans' veterans is varied. Ordinary men and women who step forward to guarantee the independence, our independence with their service and to help others shed the yoke of oppression and tyranny. They have answered their nation's call. In all of the conflicts in which we have engaged, and during all the years of restless peace between conflicts, we rightfully take a moment to celebrate our veterans' patriotism, service, and sacrifice, and reaffirm our collective commitment as a nation to keep faith with those who have served. Those who have answered the call deserve our rightful recognition of their sacrifices on our behalf, many of whom carry the marks of war inside and out. Visible or not, all veterans have lived some form of deprivation to serve their country. Whether it's lost time with loved ones or bearing the physical and mental scars of their time in service, scars that we might not be able to see. This is why it's so important to thank our veterans, to reach out and talk to them every day, not just today, and thank their families too who sacrifice so much. So to our veterans, we are in debt to you. We see you, we hear you, and we thank you. Know that we are here for you through whatever challenges arise in life. You have given much for our safety, our stability, and our way of life. To paraphrase the unforgettable words of our national anthem, we truly remain the land of the free because we're also the home of the brave. These words remain the bedrock of what we as a nation aspire to be. Our servicemen and women face trials and tribulations on a daily basis that put them in harm's way on our collective behalf. So on Veterans Day, we pause to remember and declare gratitude. To all our veterans and their families, on behalf of my family, I want to thank you for your service. Not just for your time in uniform, but also for the leadership you're providing our communities every day. You continue to make a difference across this nation, and I couldn't be more proud. God bless you and your families, and God bless the United States of America.
Here at the Annie J. Bronson Veterans Memorial Walk, the inscribed bricks are a permanent tribute to men and women who have served in the armed forces of the United States. These lasting tributes are not limited to service in World War II and can encompass any service period. placed prominently on the memorial grounds, they will be viewed by thousands of visitors each year. The placement of each brick is not only an investment in the legacy of a loved one, but also an investment in the future of the memorial.